Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today I've got some absolutely brilliant news for Lucid Motors and the CCIV stock. Today I want to recap a recent interview that Peter Rawlinson gave with CNBC and also go through their newly released SEC filing, which is just absolutely mind-boggling. So stay tuned and let's make some money. But before we get into the video, be sure to drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already so that you don't miss another video just like this one. Now, before I get into the news for today, I just want to do a quick recap of the CCIV stock chart. As you can see, for a long time, the CCIV stock was in this downward trend, which we recently broke through and have since been now following this upward trend. Today, we're currently having an absolutely brilliant day, just breaking through the $25 region, and hopefully we continue on this upward trend through $28 and then to new recent highs of $30 and above. Looking at the minute chart for the day, the stock has been absolutely flying again on this intraday upward trend. Hopefully CCIV can maintain this upward trend and hopefully close today above the $25 mark. So let's start by recapping the CNBC interview that Peter Rawlinson gave a few days ago. During the interview, Peter Rawlinson says that there's always room at the top, but it's very crowded down below. He reckons that Tesla and Lucid Motors are going to be the two front-running EV tech companies, which is absolutely great because it obviously puts Lucid Motors at the top with Tesla, and therefore one day Lucid Motors could command a valuation similar to Tesla's is at the moment. During the interview, Peter also says that Tesla isn't valued at the moment based on the vehicles that it produces right this second. It's valued based on what Tesla can do in the future and the technology that it can bring. And that's why it commands such a premium to other vehicle manufacturers out there like General Motors, Ford, the Volkswagen Group, Mercedes-Benz, and others just like that. Finally, during the interview, Peter Rawlinson says that the Lucid Air currently has over 10,000 reservations and that at the moment Lucid Motors are bang on schedule to start their production of the Lucid Air. He does also go a little bit more in depth and talk about that and also talk about what's next for Lucid Motors, but I think that's better clarified in the recent SEC filing that I'm going to go through in a second. The SEC or the Nasdaq website shows that CCIV or Lucid Motors made a new SEC filing on the 22nd of June. And that starts by saying that on June the 21st, Lucid Motors completed the pre-production builds and has started the production of quality validation builds of the Lucid Air. And this week is opening its flagship New York City studio in the Meatpacking District, with the company's new Chicago studio already open as of June the 11th. And that basically means that Lucid Motors has now completed its prototype run of the Lucid Air and is just producing a few quality control, quality inspection vehicles before starting on the main production of the consumer Lucid Air models. Therefore, I do think that by maybe even the start of July, we will see the Lucid Air actually on the road and in customer hands, which is absolutely incredible news. The SEC filing also reinforces what Peter said on the interview and says that as Lucid approaches the launch of the Lucid Air in the second half of 2021, the company anticipates strong demand for its products. Lucid recently passed 10,000 paid reservations for the groundbreaking Lucid Air, including the fully reserved Dream Edition, the Grand Touring Edition, and both the Touring and the Pure versions. Therefore, Lucid Motors have a lot of reservations for the Lucid Air and can't wait to start fulfilling those customer demands. This SEC filing actually suggests that Lucid are even ahead of their expected schedule, as enabled by the capital and financial flexibility available upon the business combination with CCIV, including the PIPE. Lucid plans to actually accelerate approximately $350 million of planned capex investment from future periods into 2021 to 2023 and otherwise enhance the manufacturing capabilities by expanding overall capex investments by up to 6 to 7% during 2021 to 2026. Peter is going to accelerate additional manufacturing capability for the Lucid Air to capitalize on expected demand and implement a dedicated Lucid Gravity assembly line, which will combine the next two phases of the Arizona facility expansion into one expedited phase, provide 2.7 million square feet of additional manufacturing space by 2023, enabling the Lucid Air capacity to go up to approximately 53,000 vehicles per year. And finally, it will also improve production flexibility between Lucid Air and Lucid Gravity, as well as for specific vehicle variants. So there's a lot to digest just in that small paragraph right there. Firstly, Lucid Motors are accelerating $350 million of capex spend to combine the next two phases into one expedited phase, meaning that the factory is going to get bigger and Lucid Motors are going to be able to produce more vehicles of the Lucid Air sooner than anticipated, producing around 53,000 vehicles by 2023. This is obviously to meet that massively increasing and massively rising demand, so that Peter Rawlinson can effectively get more Lucid Air vehicles out on the road and in those customer hands. Secondly, he's also creating a dedicated separate production line for the Lucid Gravity, meaning that the production numbers for the Lucid Air don't have to fall in order to facilitate the production of the Lucid Gravity. Peter can do both at the same time, perhaps even producing more Lucid Airs while producing the Lucid Gravity for those consumers. And finally, this point here caught my eye, the specific vehicle variants. Maybe that means there's going to be more customization options for the Lucid Air. Maybe you can choose various different alloys, more than what's currently offered, various different interior features, speaker setups, chair setups, colour options, maybe even custom colours. Just something that might make the Lucid Air even more applicable to that luxury end of the market and even more desirable. Secondly, that money is also going towards enhancing the Lucid Gravity design and performance, and therefore the Lucid Gravity is not only going to look better, but also perform better, potentially matching if not beating the Tesla Model X and other SUV EV competitors such as NIO's offerings, but will also rival potentially other luxurious brands such as Rolls-Royce and Bentley's 4x4 offerings. Finally, that money is also going to further vertically integrate certain functions, for example stamping and battery enclosures, via accretive in-house investments. This is also really good because Peter is all about vertical integration and doing everything in-house rather than having to export or source his parts from elsewhere, because then he's just placing his reliance and his trust on other firms to deliver on his schedule rather than being able to control everything himself. The company also expects to launch Lucid Gravity at the end of its projected second half of 2023 timeline and intends to have increased production of Lucid Air in 2023 and 2024, which is absolutely brilliant because they can produce more Lucid Airs and potentially even compete with NIO and Tesla in terms of vehicle production numbers. Finally, Lucid continues to expect existing cash resources following the business combination to fund its planned operations at least through to 2022. I don't know if that means to the very start of 2022 or the end of 2022, but it does mean that we won't have to expect a CCIV or Lucid Motors capital raising or expect them to issue more shares until at least next year some point, and therefore the Lucid stock won't be any further diluted in the future, or the near future at least. That's obviously absolutely brilliant news because I think a lot of what people were concerned about was Lucid Motors not living up to their expectations and not delivering any vehicles in the second half of 2021. Not only are we going to have vehicles in the second half of 2021 and they're bang on schedule, but they're also potentially accelerating their future plans, meaning that they're going to be manufacturing more vehicles in 2022, 2023 and 2024. I also wanted to go through the CCIV option chain. I know I'm looking at the monthly options, but there's a huge amount of interest on the $30 call options. And therefore, I expect that if Lucid Motors do start their production of the Lucid Air by, say, mid-July, that the CCIV stock is likely to hit $30 and potentially even higher. We can also see a lot of open call options, on the $40 options as well. Maybe there's some big funds or some big institutions that see CCIV going past the $30 mark and past the $40 mark in a fairly short time frame. Finally, I also wanted to go through the CCIV short interest data and Ortex, and I saw something really interesting. And that's that a few days ago, the shares on loan and the estimated short interest increased massively around June the 16th, from around 46 million shares on loan and 39 million estimated short interest to around 50 million short interest and 58 million shares on loan. That's interesting because the stock price hasn't really seen any significant movement upwards, so I don't really know why there's such an increase in the short interest. But maybe if Lucid Motors do merge with CCIV and the ticker changes in the next few weeks and the Lucid Air production starts and the deliveries are made to those customers, we could see a lot of shorts being trapped if the price does increase significantly, and we could potentially see a small short squeeze if those shorts have to cover and there's a lot of them. Guys, if you want to pick up some shares in CCIV but you haven't yet invested, then be sure to use the links down in the description below to get some free shares. You can currently get 2 free shares with Webull worth up to $1,850 at the moment, and a free share worth up to £200 with free trade if you live in the UK or in Europe. And as always guys, if you enjoyed this video, then be sure to check out some of my others. Alternatively, subscribe to the channel and ding that notification bell, because that way you'll be alerted when I upload a new video. Cheers!